Coming to you from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the Santa Monica Mountains, I am your intrepid host, L.A. Marzulli. Welcome to another episode of Questions with L.A. Folks, thanks for tuning in. Hit the subscribe button below. I'll be getting into your questions. If you've got questions, don't be afraid to email me. I will get to them, and that's a promise. Questions@lamarzulli.net. We'll get into this and so much more, but first, a word from our trusted sponsor. Folks, I'm a proud American, and that means if you come after me or my family, I'll be ready. That's why I rely on my PATRIOT supplies. Folks, their mega 3-month emergency food kit comes jam-packed with 33 favorites of filling and delicious foods. Folks, we have them here. We have them here and we have them in Oklahoma. Not only does that include creamy chicken-flavored rice, old-fashioned Italian spaghetti, and savoring cheesy broccoli soup, but you'll also get a bonus protein kit with diced beef, flavorful chicken chunks, and 3 varieties of beans, plus 9 different fruits, vegetables, and snacks. Wow. All in all, this emergency food kit provides a whopping 2,500 calories per day to keep you well-fed and ready for anything. Folks, the way I see it, it's my solemn duty as an American to protect my family without waiting on handouts. And that starts with food you can depend on for up to 25 years. Let me just stop you here and talk about this just for a second. Folks, I've got a lot of canned stuff in our root cellar, and I get that. But here's the deal. With my Patriot Supply, you don't have to recycle stuff every 3 to 4 years or whatever, because the shelf life of canned food is only, 3, 4, 5 years? This way, you've got a 25-year shelf life, which is absolutely incredible. Anyway, folks, go to foodwithla.com. That's go to foodwithla.com. Go to foodwithla.com. Save $300 on your mega 3-month emergency food kit. Folks, it ships fast and free. We've done it, and I've got peace of mind because if something does happen, we've got food in the waiting. Hey, LA, this is Lindsay. I have been a longtime subscriber and watcher of your videos. Thank you, Lindsay. My question today is, where in the Bible does it say that Jesus was not born on Christmas? I heard you say a couple of times that you know that Jesus was not born on Christmas, and I'm confused as to where you read that in the Bible. Okay, it's not in the Bible. We just know from the shepherds tending their sheep that it was more than likely was not the winter time. It was not the 25th of December. This all happened when the church became sort of the state religion under Constantine. There's a lot of paganism that crept into the church. I do not believe he was born on Christmas Day. I do not believe that. However, because of the culture that I am living in, as is most of Christendom, people celebrate Jesus, the Messiah's birth on the 25th of December. It's wrong. We all know that. I don't believe he was born on the 25th of December, but I celebrate my King's birth. I set up a creche, and it reminds me that the Savior was born. So because of the culture I live in, I'm celebrating that with the rest of the culture. I have stood up and said to people before that, what are we doing celebrating the 25th of December as Christmas? But it's enculturated. However wrong, it's there. So do you want to get up and millions of people who somehow believe in this, we're going to steer the ship, move the ship from the 25th of December to another date? Good luck with that. That's why I celebrate it. I believe he was born in the spring, but again, that's conjecture. Okay, continuing. Dear Pastor Marzulli, is it possible that the Prince of Persia was blocking a portal, delaying Gabriel from delivering the message to Daniel? This is from Dennis. Thanks, Dennis. That's exactly what was going on, because the angel, and we're not sure who it is, but the angel is dispatched. Okay, here's the backstory. Daniel prays, and this angel, this messenger, very powerful being, by the way, is dispatched to see Daniel. When he arrives, he goes, I was dispatched the moment your prayers at the throne room took me 21 days. That's very troubling. And this is one of the few scriptures in the entire guidebook of the supernatural, i.e. our Bibles, that lets us know what's it like. Why does it take him 21 days? And then he's got to go get Michael, a very powerful angel, and other angels to come and fight. How do they fight? We're not told. But obviously, they overcome the prince of Persia, and this angelic messenger gets to Daniel and delivers the message, which, by the way, when you read the book of Daniel, it's very chilling, including one of the passage, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. That's Daniel 2:43. This is why it's so important to understand the seed war. I delve into the seed war in the rungs of disclosure, but I digress as usual. So the bottom line is for me that there's a battle. How do they fight? We're not told. We're not told. We only know that somehow the angel, Michael and the boys, Michael and the other angelic entities, push through, and this one angel is able to get through. It's one of the few cases we have in the Guidebook of the Supernatural that gives us an insight, a sort of a ringside seat into the supernatural world. This is from Robert. Many times in the word organic flesh is referred to as clay. Could iron and clay be referring to machine and man? Could it be God's word referring to man's pursuit of counterfeit immortality? Singularity, not saying it will be successful. They will not cleave together. Love you, man. Thanks for all you do. Well, that scripture, and I didn't, Mr. Segway is here, and I did not know that this particular letter was coming on the heels of this one, which talks about the prince of Persia, and I referenced, their seed will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not cleave to them. So, Robert, you are referring to that passage, Daniel 2:43, where the angel says their seed, their offspring, will mingle with the seed, the offspring of men, but they will not cleave. The word cleave I got from Jim Williamson is, in his teaching, the word cleave is the same word we get for marriage. A man will leave his mother and father and cleave to his wife. That's a marriage contract. So that's what's going on, but there is no marriage contract here. And what's interesting is it says very, not obliquely at all, their seed. Who are they? Their seed will mingle with the seed of men. This is why it's so important. Once again, I wrote about this in the rungs of disclosure. Genesis 3:15, in my opinion, is the gateway to the Bible. Hats off to my elder brother, Gary Stearman, who lectured us at the Nephilim Mounds Conference over a decade ago now. And that was groundbreaking. Russ Dizdar was there, Fritz Zimmerman, Chief Joseph, everyone, yours truly. And we were just blown away, completely blown away. We knew about Genesis 6, but none of us knew about the seed war from Genesis 3:15. Folks, it is the gateway to the Bible, in my opinion. And that's why in my book, Rungs of Disclosure, I unpack that in a way that makes it really clear what's going on. So thanks, Robert, for writing in. I appreciate it. And by the way, guys, I love these questions. They're nice and pithy. So isn't that great? So this is from Ken. Hello, LA. I was wondering if demons can hear our prayers. If you are praying about an important test or court hearing or medical procedures, do they make plans to show up for the event to cause problems? They're not all-knowing. They're not omnipresent. Sometimes when I pray, I will ask the Lord to put the sort of the cone of silence over my prayers. Those of you who are old enough to remember Maxwell Smart and, of course, the cone of silence. My father, rabbit trail, my father and I used to watch Maxwell Smart. And, I have a few really good memories of my dad. And one of them was when he would watch Maxwell Smart. He would completely lose it. He would be laughing so hard, he'd be crying, his glasses would come off, he'd be drying his eyes, and then he'd settle himself down, and then he'd think of it again, and he'd completely lose it all over again. And that's how we used to watch Maxwell Smart with my dad. It really hit his funny bone. So the cone of silence, so you got Maxwell Smart here, you got the chief on the other side of the desk, and Maxwell goes, maybe we should be using the cone of silence, chief. And the chief is always, Max, no, really, please, Max, we don't need to do. The chief is always, the straight man. And so, chief, this is top secret. We need to use the cone of silence. And so the thing comes down. And of course, this is the creation of Mel Brooks and Buck Henry. Can you imagine those two guys sitting in the room coming up with this stuff like the cone of silence? Are you serious? Are you just unbelievable? And you got to watch some of the gags are just hysterical. And that's because you had two comedic geniuses in a room together making this stuff up. And of course, the cone wouldn't work, and the chief would be saying something, and Max would go, what did you say, chief? Like that. And it would just go back and forth. Anyway, go on YouTube, Google cone of silence, Maxwell Smart, and it will come up. So, this is a really serious question, and I just went down a silly rabbit hole. Ask the Lord to block their ears. Ask the Lord to put a hedge of protection around you when you pray. I do that. So, Lord, make it so the enemy can't hear what we're saying here. Just put a hedge of protection around us. In Jesus' name, confuse the enemy, send him packing, things like that. So, we have the power. What is it? Luke 10:19. Behold, I have given you authority to trample over snakes and scorpions and over all power of the enemy. Nothing shall harm you. So an example of this would be Father, I'm about to pray for some folks here. It's very important. I ask that your angels would surround me now. And I ask in Jesus' name that you would confuse the enemy, send him packing, so that he would not understand what this prayer is about. That's just a one way of doing it. This is from Carol. Hello, LA. My husband and I are already scheduled on the trip in October and so looking forward to it. This is 2023. This is how far back we are. Can I please get the complimentary pp&s report? I am a big fan and follow your work. I can't wait to meet you in person. That's Carol and J.J. Watts. Of course, we know that the tour was canceled on October 7th. We were supposed to fly. We were at the Prophecy Watchers Conference. We were supposed to be on a plane to Atlanta and then bivouac there for 24 hours, less than 24 hours, and fly over to Israel. We'd have gotten there on Monday. All that, of course, was completely blown out of the water. We have not rescheduled the Trail of a Nephilim tour. Hopefully in 2025, we'll be able to get back there. But the way things are, as I'm speaking right now, on the 22nd of September, which, by the way, is the equinox, and I'll get into that in just a little bit, and we'll close out this section. Right now, hundreds of rockets have hit northern Israel. Our tour is not centered in northern Israel, but we go to some of those sites. Certainly Gilgal Rephaim, Mount Hermon, other places. Unfortunately, you just can't go there because of the war. And I'm not going to take a busload of people over there because anything is possible. So we'll see what happens in the coming months. Hopefully in 2025 we can get back, but we don't know. With that in mind, let me just say something here about the solstices and the equinoxes. Are they just benign days on the calendar, or do the powers that be know what they are? There's a clip that I saw. I was going through some SD cards and found this clip with the Serpent Man that we did. Fritz and I were there years ago. There was a Native American that was there, and I'm going to show that clip on a supernatural confrontation. She would not come on camera, but I was able to record her voice and her hand. She was holding some sage and feathers and other things. And she was there, of course, along with a coven of witches on it was the spring equinox, the vernal equinox. We are today, as I'm filming this, and I don't know when this is going to be aired, the autumnal equinox, equal amounts of day, light and darkness, equal amounts of day and night, equal, light and dark. It's for covens and those who know, it's a satanic high holy day. Now, you may scoff at that, but we armor up. Last night, around 2 or 3 in the morning, I got hit with a very demonic dream. Gee, what a coincidence, right? I awakened and immediately took authority over it because I have the authority. We just talked about that. Luke 10:19. Behold, I have given you authority over snakes and scorpions and all power of the enemy. So look, these are for the fiery darts that the enemy sends us. We're told this. These are the fiery darts that the enemy sends. This is why we put on the armor of God on a daily basis, sometimes twice or 3 times. It just depends on what's going on. So put on the armor of God, walk in that, and knowing our authority as believers. Many believers, many born-again, spirit-filled Christians never understand the authority that they have, that we have as believers. Now, that doesn't mean everything we're going to pray happens. It doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is if I'm faced with a situation, I can call upon the Lord, and I know he will answer me, and I know he will act in some ways. And we've talked about this, and we've seen it. Certainly in our Watchers series, when we were taking out the implant was cloaked. You've heard me talk about this numerous times. Couldn't find it for an hour and 20 minutes. Finally, Dr. Matriciana, the head surgeon, says to Dr. Roger Lear, maybe we should get another x-ray. And Dr. Lear goes, no, we know exactly where it is. And Richard Shaw, the late Richard Shaw, my former business partner, Gil Zimmerman, and I is my new business partner, and I have done 10 films on the UFO series. Shameless plug here. We're about to do, we're working on The Shroud of Turin and the Holy Fire. That'll come out sometime late October, early November. And I think you'll find that really interesting. Very intense film, but I digress as usual. Mugs. Anyway, folks, as a believer, I have the authority. And so I prayed. Because we knew the implant was there, but we couldn't find it. And my prayer was very simple. And I was in a room full of non-believers except for Rick. And I said, okay, guys, this is going to sound weird, but I'm going to pray and I'm going to do it now. And my prayer went something like this. Father, if there are forces which are cloaking this device, I pray that you would break your power and do it soon. Folks, it was less than a minute and a half later, all of a sudden the implant appears on the screen. Everybody goes, oh my gosh, what's that? And Dr. Matriciana goes, that's the implant. So prayer works, prayer changes things. As a believer, we have the authority in Jesus to do these things. But you know what? We have to step into that authority. We have to walk in that authority in a circumspect way. Anyway, folks, thanks for watching. Rungs of Disclosure. We're shipping it out. Thanks so much for your patronage. We've got a special this week, 1 week only. You buy 2 for lower than the price. Okay, each book is $21.99. But if you buy 2 books, you get the third one free and you get a lowered price of $39.99. So you're saving money. And here's the deal. You get that first book for you and your family, your kids. If your kids are over 16 years old, they need to read this, trust me, or you need to read it to them. And you need to discuss this. That's the first book. The second book, you give to your best friend. Happy birthday. Merry Christmas. The third book, you give to your pastor. And you say, you need to read this. And you know what? If the pastor's too busy or poo-poos you or fluffs him, pushes you away or gives you the deer in the headlights look or gives you the eyeball roll and pats you on the head and just says, whatever. Just tell him, well, then how do you explain David Grush in Congress? And I wrote about this in the book. How do you explain away David Grush in the halls of Congress, who when asked, do we have crashed bodies from these craft? And he said, yes, we have crashed, biologics were retrieved. And then Representative Nancy Mace from South Carolina states, were these biologics human or non-human? He looks right up at her and says, non-human biologics. I'm not making this stuff up. It is the coming great deception. And guess what? If pastors poo-poo it, as much as I love the church, maybe it's time to move on if they won't even address this. Because when it happens, it's going to change everything on the planet. UFOs are real, burgeoning, not going away. Thanks so much for watching, folks. We appreciate it. And remember, if you've got a question, questions at lamarzulli.net. We'll see you again soon. Hey, folks, L.A. Marzulli here. I've got book number 14 coming out. It's being published by Charisma Media. It's called Rungs of Disclosure. Let me whet your appetite. What is it, 77 years ago, something happened in Roswell, New Mexico? Was it really a weather balloon or was it something else? Folks, one of the very first chapters in that book delves into the whole Roswell event. What I think happened there was a cover-up, and it began the deliberate obfuscation that continued until 2017. And Tucker Carlson asked Commander David Fravor, in your opinion, what was this tic-tac-shaped UFO that you saw? Commander David Fravor looks right at the camera and says, whatever this was not from this earth. That's the nexus. That's the beginning of the Rungs of Disclosure book. I think it's the most important book I've ever penned. Go to lamarzulli.com, lamarzulli.com. You can pre-order the book, save $5, and that book will be autographed by yours truly. Don't forget, folks, UFOs are real, burgeoning, and not going away. In my opinion, this is the coming great deception that Jesus warns us about.